probably,
That's when I was like,
it's
shoot,
probably
I
just
left
maybe the stone, you know.
Now call the school board meeting to order. Let us stand with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Take my mic off.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Do you have any additions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none. Okay. Public announcements. All right, let's see. August the 4th. Yes. Okay, August the 4th and 5th, new teachers report. August the 6th, birthday professional development. August the 7th, convocation at St. Clair Walker Middle School at 9 a.m. And August the 11th, regular school board meeting at 6:30 here at St. Clair Walker Middle School. All right. Next we have public comment. Hearing none, seeing none.
Seeing no public.
Public comment is now closed. Board member committee reports. Tiff?
I do not have anything new.
Dr. Arnett?
I do. The Chesapeake Bay Governor's School Joint Board meeting met on June 11th for an end-of-the-year meeting to approve budget supplement requests and balance end-of-year funds. And in an earlier meeting, we had approved hiring a new director, Dr. Rob Wright. Dr. Wright is an alumnus of Chesapeake Bay Governor's School, and he attended Rappahannock High School while he was attending the Governor's School. He has worked as a teacher in Westmoreland County, a elementary principal in King and Queen, and most recently he worked at the Virginia Department of Education. So we were happy to welcome him as our new leader at the Chesapeake Bay Governor's School.
Okay. Yeah. Thomas?
No, I have not.
And I have none. All right, keep it moving.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have, action items.
All right, I will go through the action items. The first is a surplus request, and the reason for that is we use GovDeals, which is an online marketplace, to sell surplus items, and then according to our policy, the school board has to approve the listing of items if they have a value over $500. And so we have 2 school buses we want to add to the marketplace for sale. And their sale value should be in excess of $500, and that does need school board approval.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Second.
Moving proper second in question. All in favor? Aye. Motion is so carried. Next.
School fees, they are updated and approved annually. They are in your school board packet. All the fees are the same. There are 2 new fees going into next year, and they are for the MHS choir and then the Music Honor Society at the high school. Everything else is the same.
Okay. The Music Honor Society, that's brand new.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't remember seeing that before.
That is new.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Heard the motion, the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is so carried. Okay.
All right, next we have the FY '26 budget update, and so I bring you an updated budget for approval. The change is in the amount of the local funding that was appropriated by the Board of Supervisors when their budget was settled, which is different than what this school board originally approved in March. And so again, it's just a local amount that's approved. We knew that for a few months now, and we've got that all in place to operate for '25, '26, but I do bring that updated budget to you all for approval.
Okay. All right, could I have a motion?
I have a question.
Okay, I haven't got to that.
I was looking at the lottery-funded program. And I noticed that they're up and down a lot. How does it determine how much Middlesex gets from that particular source?
And Karen could probably answer better than me. I don't know that every year they use the exact same formula on that. They move things around in different categories.
They do, and some things,
Yearly.
one year will be SOQ funded, one year will be incentive programs, and then one year they'll move it into lottery. It really is just moving the funds up.
So it's not a matter of how much the lottery is making, because their revenue has increased significantly over the last few
And that
years.
very well could be. They're allocating it in the different programs, depending on where the funding, they see.
Who is
the funding.
they?
VDOE and state, the General Assembly.
What we can't do is always count on that exact same amount.
It changes every year.
It does.
So whatever the General Assembly, when they approve the budget, they go through kind of like what I do and figure out, what buckets of money is gonna pay for, the programs. And so the General Assembly, they determine when they, get the budget together, where those funds are coming from.
Does the enrollment of the particular school have anything to do with that?
Well, the formulas are set as far as, how they parse the funding out. But there are different formulas that delineate what amounts of money goes to different programs. I can give you guys a list of what goes into each, all of these categories, what they use in order to come up with that. Whether it be ADM, it could be poverty rate, it could be, most of them have the LCI factor in
That's what I was
there.
gonna ask you.
But I do, on the last page of, and if you can pull this up as well, but on the VDOE website, when you pull up Middlesex, or any other county for that matter, the last tab of the calc tool, which is what I use, in order to figure out, what kind of funding, the very last tab of the calc tool gives you the formula behind every single category here and what goes into figuring out the funds that go into those categories.
Okay, I'll have to dig a little
You can
deeper.
play around with that. That's a good time.
Any more questions? All right, we have a motion, I need a second.
So moved. 4 seconds, I don't
Okay.
care.
All right, moving proper second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is so carried, okay?
All right, the last action item is policy revisions, which you are seeing on a second read. No changes to most of them from the updates from the first read. If you'll remember, we pulled out 2 policies. And the first one I'm asking to put back in, and that is policy KGD, notification of school-connected student overdose. And this is the reason why. After our meeting, and we discussed that some, I did reach out to the attorney with the Virginia School Board Association. If you remember, our biggest concern, both of the board and me, was having to provide 24-hour notice of a suspected overdose. I did confirm with the VSBA attorney that this is the definition in the statute. And she said, in fact, most of the policy language does come from the statute that went into effect on July 1. And so she agreed with us, and she said, you know, while she also has concerns about notification and protecting privacy, especially in small school divisions, she said there is no delayed effect of the policy, and that she recommended we have it in place before the school year starts. And so I put that back in for second read this evening, which has it go into effect after it's passed. I think the next steps for us is to work with our own school board council on what notification would look like and what a letter would look like when we would have to use that and how general it would be, because my intent would be to be extremely general in notification, especially if we were looking at what the policy definition says is a suspected overdose.
So, I just want to make sure I remember correctly. If a student has a suspected overdose, all students and families would receive this letter?
From the school, the principal of that school, so it doesn't go to the division, it would go to the school. So if it happened at the high school, parents and students at the high school would be notified. If it were middle, same thing.
So is it, overdoses on school property? Or
Yes.
if it happened on the weekend,
No.
this would not need to be?
Property, buses, school-sponsored events,
Okay.
those types of things. Not if it
I
was
feel like I
outside.
understood that improperly when we first talked about it, that it was any that we knew
No.
about. I don't know, maybe I
So I
misunderstood.
think the term says, and I can look at it, I think it says school-related.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's, you know, on school property, on a bus, at a school-sponsored event, so a game, something like that, home or away, any of those things. A 24-hour notification would be required.
Anything dealing with the school, is what you're saying, pretty much.
On school property or at a school-sponsored event, maybe that's off campus somewhere, but it's still a school-sponsored event.
Ball games, anything like that. Okay.
How frequently has an overdose occurred here in Middlesex?
We do not have any documentation
No.
of school overdoses.
So, using that, we would probably not project that we would have.
I certainly hope not.
How feasible is it to notify parents of the high school, let's say, if that happens within 24 hours?
I think the hard part is you may not have the correct or exact information.
Right.
And that was my concern, is that you have to put something out within 24 hours. You may suspect something, but you really don't have all of those details. However, that's what the General Assembly directed to be in policy. And so what I plan to do is to create some sample notification letters that we could pull and move quickly, because honestly, I don't know that we could even, our school board council are very responsive, but sometimes they're in court, or sometimes they're dealing with something else and they can't get back to us right away. So,
So
Okay.
does it have to be in the form of writing, or can it be a phone call if we get those calls from the
I have to,
division?
you know what, I have to look at the policy and see, because it could just be that it's a notification by phone call.
And the last question I have, and I kind of marked this off my mind after our last discussion, overdose of what? are there guidelines as to, I mean, I remember
Yeah, I'm
hearing
gonna
about
refer
kids
to
that,
the
took
policy.
no-dose, back in the 90s. I mean, that's caffeine,
Right.
so overdose of what?
Let's see, overdose of a student enrolled in the school division on the premises, school sanctioned activities.
Oh, on the premises.
Well, it says, on the premises of such school during regular school hours or during school sanctioned activities, whether on or off the premises of such school. So that's school-sponsored events. Let's see, it says through the regular method of communication used for school-wide notifications and within 24 hours
So
of
then,
law
yes, we could
enforcement
do
or
the-
medical personnel confirming a school-connected student overdose. And so, honestly, I don't know that that can happen within a 24-hour period either.
And
I'm
my-
looking to see if it says exactly. An overdose means a life-threatening condition resulting from the consumption or use of a controlled substance.
If y'all can't tell, I left my notebook with all my notes on my office
That's okay.
desk.
So it wouldn't be marijuana. I don't know if you can overdose on marijuana, can you?
I
It'd be
suspect you
very
could, but I mean,
difficult to do that.
the law on that is, it's legal and it's federal, in the state, we've had this whole.
Right.
that was-
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like marijuana would be very difficult to overdose. Seems like it'd be more geared towards like prescription medication, over-the-counter medication.
Alcohol.
all right, so it does
Opiates.
say, all right, it says, for which response is the administration of naloxone, another opioid antagonist, or other similar medication with its intent to counter or temporarily reverse the effects of such overdose. So that's not, you
opioids.
wouldn't use that for marijuana, so you're
Right.
looking at opioids and things like that.
Yeah.
What would be our recourse to issue a correction?
You can, that's in here.
Okay.
Is
That's
the
why I just wanna
issue,
make
yeah.
sure, cause there's like within 24 hours, I
Yeah.
mean, stuff might come out at
Sure.
the next day that has no, it was actually due to this.
That's,
And they administered.
Yeah, a couple of things is that, yeah, it says that in there, is that you would then offer corrections. The problem could be is that you may not know that, because the parent doesn't necessarily have to, say it's a student and they're, the parents take custody of them and whatever they choose to do, they really don't have to communicate back to the school on any of that information.
But I think just having a blanket
Yes,
statement.
something very general.
vague- I mean, I don't want to say vague, but very,
Yeah, I think it might even say as required by law.
right.
There's notification that,
Because the way this kind of
Something like
sounds, I mean, I could be 100% wrong. It's just more, we have to notify them if we use naloxone or opioid antagonist to counteract overdose. So if these aren't administered, we don't have to.
it does make it sound that way, yes.
Yeah.
We do have those on site at all of the schools, and
Yeah.
we've got staff that are trained in its use, and so I think that, to your point, could be a trigger of when a notification needs
Yeah.
to be sent.
okay, well, one of my concerns is the information that we put out, if we don't have accurate information to put out within that 24 hours, where do we stand?
So the policy says that you're gonna communicate something within 24 hours, and then I think you really can be very general, or as general as possible in that.
Okay.
I
And
think I
that's-
would feel more comfortable along the lines of what Tommy said, like if it's administered,
Right.
then, I just would not want a child to be having an episode, what if it's new onset epilepsy or something that's misdiagnosed? And then that child's gotta, they were the only kid that left school that day,
Oh, yeah,
and-
it's small, yeah, very
Yeah.
small, and,
So, I mean, to me,
Yeah.
if you're administering Narcan, we're pretty certain that, a healthcare professional's pretty certain that you need it.
it certainly is suspected at that point
Right.
if you're using Narcan.
Right.
Mhm.
So that could be a way to trigger our
Mhm.
response.
Yeah,
I got one more question. And this is just for students, correct? So let's say like if we had an overdose at a football game of a parent, spectator, adult, we do not have to issue this.
it's student, yeah,
It's
a
student
student overdose,
overdose.
student overdose.
I just want to make sure if it was anybody on campus.
Student.
But I wonder what the rationale for this policy from the legislature was.
It's in response, I think some things that took place maybe in some Northern Virginia communities that some legislators and the governor felt parents weren't notified of.
Other than the parents of the student who wrote OD?
Other than the parents of the, and you're talking about high schools that have 4,000 to 6,000 students in them.
But why do other parents need to know?
That would be my question also.
Well, I mean, if this is in response to, like, say, a fentanyl overdose, like, that's something that you kind of need to let people know to keep out, because, I mean, fentanyl, just a small amount can do a lot of damage. So,
Yeah,
and that's an
you're not
opioid,
gonna know in
that's what
24
this-
hours if you're looking at a
Yeah.
fentanyl
Yeah.
overdose.
No,
I think
but-
is the challenging part with it. And honestly, you may not be told that, because parents don't have to share that information if that's determined, so.
So one last question.
Mhm.
Clearly, we all have some reservations about
Mhm.
this, and I know that you recommend to put it back because of the advice from the legal counsel from the SBA, but
Mhm.
what is the harm in holding it back until we can talk to maybe counsel for the school board or get some other advice, like, what, are all divisions across the state implementing it, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I have not reached out to other superintendents. When I spoke with her about it, that was one of my questions, is how long can we hold out on the policy? And she said it doesn't have a delayed effect. So you
And
should
what does
have.
that mean, that we don't have?
So sometimes the General Assembly will say you have to have a policy, and it'll give you like a year out that you've gotta have it. And so in this case, there's no delayed effect, which means by July 1, you're supposed to have a policy. And so her recommendation was for us to have a policy before the school year started.
I like Tiffany's idea, of keeping it on the table and not
Mhm.
acting
Well,
on it
certainly, if that's
tonight
what you wanna do, yeah.
until we get more information, because I do have a lot more questions.
Mhm.
And I would like to know the rationale behind the policy. I'd like to know what other school divisions are doing. I don't think it's a good policy myself.
Oh, I don't either.
Yeah, and I think it
But
puts.
but the General Assembly put it into statute, and
Well,
so
what
that's
happens if
where.
we don't have the policy? What's gonna happen to us?
Oh, boy.
We don't want to find
The
out.
recommendation from the Virginia School Board Association attorney was for us to have a policy in place before the
I
school year
understand,
started.
I understand. It's not a good policy.
I agree.
Not all of them are.
I think a lot of what comes from the General Assembly is not a
Yeah.
good policy, but they did not ask me ahead of time.
Well, let's keep it.
Do you want to pull it? Is that what you're saying you
All right,
want to
let's
do?
just go by a vote
I
on
make a
that.
motion that we continue to study the policy and the ramifications.
Okay, that's your form of motion, right?
That's
All right, we
right.
have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Do I have a second? All right. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are pulling that.
Pulling that one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and so there's another one in here that I'm also recommending be
Okay.
pulled, even though I put it back in. And that one is the IGBJ, Advanced or Accelerated Mathematics, and we went over these last month. I recommended we pull it until we got more information. And so we got some information, so I did have Kim put it back in for second read, but then as we got more, I will say, mixed information from different groups and VDOE, Dr. Bishop and Dr. Walsh, who's a mathematics specialist, all agreed, as did Dr. Sanders, because this really affects the middle school, that it's best that we pull this policy right now also, because the language in it can be confusing to parents and the community, because the policy does not have to be implemented this year. And this is for automatic enrollment in accelerated or advanced mathematics classes.
What policy number again?
It is IGBJ,
BJ, okay.
and I apologize if I said that incorrectly, Advanced or Accelerated Mathematics. And so it does not have to, what I found out, just because I happened to be on a call on my accountability committee, is that we do not have to offer these types of courses or automatically enroll students in them until the 26-27 school year if we offer the courses. And so it's just that the policy, the school board has to create a policy this year. And so then the more we talked about it, the more we talked about that that's very confusing language to families if we adopt a policy that's in place in July, and then we say, well, we don't actually offer that, we don't have to offer that yet. And so we were in agreement that we do pull that policy back out also at least until the school year started, and we've had some more conversations about what exactly we will be able to offer as accelerated or advanced mathematics. And so with that, it's all of the other policies, excluding these two now, that I bring to you for approval for second read.
Okay.
And I'm happy to answer questions about the mathematics also.
All right.
I move that we approve on second reading the policies other than the two that Dr. Sykes
Okay,
mentioned.
and could you, once again, give the numbers of those two policies?
Yes, that would exclude policy KGD and policy IGBJ.
I second.
Moving properly second. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is so carried. All right. Next, we have some information items. Dr. Bishop?
Yeah, new teachers are coming really quickly. We're planning a lot for them. On the back of your paper, and it's just a few things that I'd like to go over. You know, it seems like a lot is crammed into the professional development week. It's 7 days, 9 days for new teachers. We have new teacher orientation to support the new teachers. We have special education, we have new special education teachers, support them specifically. We have mentee and mentors. They're also getting to get a big, huge technology infusion so that they understand all the stuff that we have, luckily we have for our students. We have convocation, also building culture and focus on the vision and mission. We also have school safety trainings. Next month we will review the crisis plans for the school division and all 3 schools. Technology, AI, threat assessments, and McKinney-Bento, and that's for students who are homeless. Go over that with all of the staff at each building. We also have other medical trainings, medical administration for students who, nurse is not there. We need to have someone to fill in the gap. We have Narcan training for those who want to participate, and also insulin. And then we also, thanks to the school board, we have KIDM, Five Ponds Press, and Mass Space, which are all new curriculum, but I think that although we're going to spend a lot of time in the professional development days, it's going to be very beneficial for the teachers to have those resources. So thanks to the school board for that. We're also going over rewards in Dreambox. We are lucky enough to have TTAC come for Parapro training for an entire day. Actually, it's a half day, but it's going to be going 2 different groups. They're going to come out and give our parapros some good, really some PD on for positive management and supports to help teachers. So we have a lot of good paras that are leaders in that regard, and they've always enjoyed the professional development. We have transportation with students with disabilities for those who are transporting those students. We have a whole special education department coming together. Another thing that we have is the Behavioral Health Center, along with Ashlyn Sears, who's a graduate. Tracy has brought this on and kind of coordinated this suicide prevention for all of our staff. So that's a really good thing for focusing on that mental health. And then we're also curriculum mapping. So teachers are going to map their curriculum. This math has done that, a lot of it, the work, and go through a calendar. And here's the first unit, and it's in September. It's going to be for 3 weeks. Just really have the teachers have a sense of what the year is going to look like. And then those maps will be forward-facing, so the parents can have those too, so they can see like what's coming up next for all the curriculum areas. So we're excited about that work, and we have a really good team to help our teachers with that. So that's our professional development week.
Any questions for Dr. Bishop? Thank you, Doc. Next, we have Superintendent's report.
And I have a few things to provide as updates. So in addition to all of the planning that's gone on for pre-service and then year-long professional development, we've had teams working on updating our family handbook, our student athlete handbook, our teacher evaluation handbook. We've got half-day meetings tomorrow to go over some of this. Our crisis management plans for the division and the schools are being updated, and they will be presented to you next month for your review. That leads into, we're talking about crisis management. Last week, we held a crisis response exercise. We did it at Middlesex High School, and it was led by a representative from Critical Response Group, and that's who provides our digital mapping, their digital maps of all of our schools and all of our buildings. And so we spent half a day there. We had a variety of participants throughout the county. We had representatives from the Sheriff's Department. We had our building and division administrators. We had emergency service leads. We had someone from dispatch. We had fire and rescue members there. And so we talked through an exercise of, you know, if you identified, in this case it was a school shooter and those steps. But what it helped us do was talk through some of the other logistics. For example, we talked about making 911 calls, and the dispatch representative said, we have to remember that if everybody in the school starts calling 911, it's overload and we can't handle it. And so we talked through how we would make announcements of, this is a lockdown, 911's been called. And so that hopefully that would help not overload dispatch there. And so we talked about, you know, setting up places and how to shut down roads. And so it was a great activity, like I said, for us to come together as a community and talk through some of the logistics and create and develop those partnerships. We want to continue with some of those exercises. And that was brought to us, like I said, from our CRG mapping group that provides those mapped to us completely free. Another piece of safety that we're working on this summer is stop arm cameras. They have been installed in all of our buses. And if you remember, we had a member of the transportation department come speak last year at public comment, speaking about vehicles that run through or past stopped buses. And so we researched that. We did go with cameras that are not cloud-based, and so it will be a matter of notifying operations that someone ran the stopped bus, and then there's a video that's going to have to be pulled. We're working with the Sheriff's Department to determine what those next steps are and what that looks like. But we will be putting information out to the community to let them know that we have those things in place. So hopefully that will help. Some distracted driving also. Looking at our enrollment going into the year, our kindergarten enrollment is behind what it typically is at this time of the year. Doesn't mean that we won't still continue to enroll kindergartners. We will all the way through the opening of school. But we have made some changes to staffing. We were moving one of our kindergarten teachers because we had 5 into a first grade position because we had a teacher leave in that area, and so the numbers work to make some movement like that. Funding, you've approved the updated budget. We've had some additional information come from the federal government with reference to some of our title funding, not the larger Title I and not IDEA, but some of our smaller ones, titles, I think parts of 2, parts of 3, and parts of 4, and that they are under review. It does not mean that we won't receive those funds, but they are currently under review for FY25, and the federal government's FY25 goes until September 30. So it comes to about just over $89,000 for our school division. And so we continue to watch that, send information to our representatives to not withhold that money. I will say that we are in a better space than some of our partners that are losing several $100,000 if those funds don't get pushed through. Within the consent agenda piece, which you would have seen in your packet this evening, we did receive some additional funds from the state. And although I was planning to use some of those additional funds for positions that I had tagged that were new for the year that didn't come through in local funds, right now we're going to pause on that. Because if the title funds don't come through, then we'll need that money to pay for the things that we already have placed. The bulk of that money goes towards a couple of teaching positions. And so it's not a matter of, well, we just don't use that money, it's teaching positions. And so fortunately, we'll have money from the state if the title doesn't come through. We'll know more in the next few months. So again, it hasn't been canceled, it's just under review. So we're waiting to see there. Probably the last thing I'll go over is that next month I plan to present the priorities for the school year. And so we're still actually going over our strategic plan, our goals from last year, identifying priorities for this year. We are still having meetings and discussing what those objectives look like that we will put into place for next year. So last year I brought that to you, and at the July meeting, we're just not finished with it. We're still getting feedback and things like that. So I'll bring that next month, and you'll know what the priorities that we're working on for 25, 26. So those are my updates. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, yes, I have one.
Mhm.
I know we've had some cameras installed, or all buses now are equipped with cameras, right?
Inside buses,
Oh, no, the external one for people running the
stop arm, all of the buses.
Okay.
All the buses got
Do we
those.
have any areas in the county that would be the same or similar to the area at Mattapanai? Because a lot of people don't understand that area right there, if a bus stops,
You're talking where it's not divided by a median?
Yes.
People think they can keep going?
yes,
Hartfield is
similar.
to that. I don't think we have anything as wide as what Mattapanai's got with those two lanes of traffic going each way that doesn't have a median. But they do it even when it's one lane going this way, one lane
Yeah.
going that way, unfortunately.
I'm hearing if there's grass in the median, you don't have to stop. But if there is concrete or asphalt, you have to stop.
I think that the point that you're making is interesting because we're saying it's easy if you've been driving for a long time to go, which is it again? Is it grass or
Right,
asphalt?
right, that's what I'm thinking,
You know,
yeah.
so I don't think it would be a bad idea in addition to these cameras to have something for the public to remind people of the rules.
Yes.
We're planning to do that also.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because
When
they're
you
easy
get-
to forget.
When you-
If you haven't
exactly.
taken that driving test in a while.
When you're supposed to stop.
Yeah, I've actually done it in Mattapanai, and it was not being aware of what was going on. I thought I was legal.
Right. Well, and I've noticed with the buses, and this isn't a criticism, but like they'll put their yellow lights on, and so I'll come to a stop, but they've gone past me, you know, so they're, you know, taking precautions in advance, but I wasn't sure like,
What to
what
do?
do I do? So I just figured stop was safest. But, you know, those things are probably confusing to people in the community.
Yes. So what can we do, or what message can we send out there to make it?
We'll put things out too. We'll use the newspaper and social media to
Yeah.
put here. We'll try to make it as simple as possible also so that it's not a lot to read. And, you know, the quicker the message, the easier it is for people to take a look at it and understand it. So,
Yeah, they can look
We'll
at
put-
it in 30 seconds.
yeah, we'll put
Yeah.
messaging
Yeah.
out.
Okay. All right. That's it for you?
That is it for me, yes.
Okay. Do we have any old business? Any new? All right, at this time, we will go into closed meeting. Okay. Pursuant of the code, the board will go into closed session to discuss personnel matters, student matters, and legal matters. May I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, move properly second, we're now in closed session. was gonna let you have it, sir.
Just for practice. I was thinking of something else.
Okay. All right. Could I have a motion to come out of closed session?
Second.
Right. In pursuant to the code, the board has discussed personnel matters, student matters, and legal matters during closed session. Matters discussed in closed session have been added to the consent agenda and other parts of the agenda as action and information items. Board members, please respond by roll call.
Dr. Burnett,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mrs. McMurtry,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Ms. Robbins.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Last thing we have is the consent agenda. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moving proper second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is properly carried. Okay, last thing we have, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.